Feather the Redeemed versus Yarok the Desecrated. Yeah, very good new commander from M20. I'm going to keep that. We don't have anything going on, but I'm hoping that with us being on the draw, we'll get into a non-land. Well, apparently not. We can go for a really spiky play and wasteland our opponent's land to keep them off mana if we feel the need to. Feather the Redeemed is 3 mana in Boros for a 3/4 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it into your graveyard, and if you do, you return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Now there's a Simic Signet. And we do have something for Feather now, a Fists of Flame. I think we'll just go in for Disenchant onto that Simic Signet. And then, because we have no cards in hand, I'm actually not above going for a Wasteland onto that Simic Signet. They are running low on black mana. Farhaven Elf should get them into black mana. So if we take them off of blue, then it's blue mana they're going to be struggling on. Yeah, I don't like going for Wastelands like this, but we don't have anything to do and we're just drawing into lands. So we're just going to go for that play this time. Plus the fact that Yarok the Desecrated is an incredibly powerful commander. 5 mana in Sultai for a 3/5 Death Touch lifelink. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes the triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, then that ability triggers an additional time. We will grab ourselves a basic here, and just going to go in for Feather. If our opponent has removal, then that's fine. We don't have protection for Feather anyway, so we might as well 1, get that out of our opponent's hand, but 2, actually do something this turn, and then hopefully we can go for Fists of Flame next turn, but Vampiric Tutor may well be some removal. If they're using Vampiric Tutor to get removal, then they are not using it to get into blue mana, so could go either way. Alright, that may well be what they tutored for. Probably getting a couple of islands from the Cultivate. And then we will likely see Yarok next turn. Yeah, they got a couple of islands there. I don't think they made a land drop there. Yeah, they had a couple of green and a couple of black, so they could have played the island, but decided not to for some reason. Let's go for the Skull Clamp. And that'll be just to get some more damage through with Feather, because I think our plan currently is to try and get commander damage on our opponent. Fists of Flame will draw us a card, and until the end of the turn we get +1 to our power for each card that we've drawn this turn. So that bumps Feather up to a 6/3 flyer. And we get into some protection there. The Long Road Home exiles her. And at the beginning of the next end step, she comes back in with a plus counter. Can't use that currently, unfortunately, but I think our opponent is just going to go for Yarok here. Just going straight in for Yarok, and they keep holding up green mana, so I don't know if they've got a Fog in hand. I wouldn't have thought so. Don't know if I've ever seen someone play Fog in Commander before. Okay, Balefire Liege is really good. Let's get ourselves a plateau. And then we'll go for Fists of Flame to give Feather that buff again. And then swing in at our opponent. And we can hold up Long Road Home. If we want to risk going for the Fists of Flame again at the end of our opponent's turn, then we can do that. And that will get us into another card draw. Okay, Trinket Mage will get our opponent into a couple of 1 mana artifacts. We can use Long Road Home on our opponent's creatures, and that will take Yarok out of play if they do something that we're particularly scared of. They might go for a Skull Clamp here. No, they've gone for Sol Ring and Mana Vault, both of which can enter play. Playing the Sol Ring. And then going for Hostage Taker. We will... Do they have to target something with that? Yes, they do. When it enters the battlefield, exile another target creature or artifact. Well, they could point it at our Skull Clamp is the only problem. If we didn't have Skull Clamp in play, we could force our opponent to get rid of one of their things. So we'll just wait for them to point it at Feather. Wait for both the triggers to go on the stack. And they are both pointed at Feather. They could have put one of them on the Skull Clamp. Let's make sure she goes to the exile zone, and then we will go Long Road Home. And at the beginning of this end step, we will get Feather back into play, and we'll be able to swing in with her again next turn. Going to take a hit for 4 here, we don't mind that. 2 more hits of commander damage should take our opponent out of this game. Okay, let's drop down the Reliquary Tower for an unlimited hand size. And I think we just go for the same again. We don't have quite enough mana to drop Gutter Snipe and be safe here. So, yeah, we'll just go for Fists of Flame. Drawing another card. And we'll put the Clamp onto Feather as well, most likely. Champion's Helm helps. But we can't quite push through commander damage, so I think Long Road Home is safer. The only way then is for our opponent to force us to sacrifice. And they may have things that force us to sack, so yeah, I think I'd rather have Long Road Home. May well go for the Champion's Helm next turn, but we only need 2 more points of damage on our opponent, so I don't think that we really need to worry about Champion's Helm now. Yeah, if they go for some kind of targeted removal, then we can go for the Long Road Home again. If they have something else to target with at instant speed on top of that, then so be it. There's that Mana Vault. But I think they may have something like a Merciless Executioner that can force us to sacrifice a creature, and Long Road Home will protect us from that. Now, Zendikar Resurgent will do nothing for them, I don't think, unless they can play a creature now. A Gaunty, Lord of Luxury, and they will draw a card from casting a creature. The fact that we gained a turn from that Wasteland really helped us out this game. Unfortunately, with Gaunty, they do have to cast the spell, so they won't get any free cards here. These should be turned face up at the end of the game, so we'll just pop them over there and see what our opponent took from us. I wouldn't have thought they'd get into any cards that would be all that useful to them, because this is, oh well, speak of the devil, they did actually get into a Swords to Plowshares, so good job we held up the Long Road Home, although Champion's Helm would have saved us from that. She is going to exile, yes. No Swords to Plowshares for our opponent, but that was a good line of play from them. Our opponent doesn't know. We may have been F6'd, but luckily we managed to play that out properly. And our opponent scoops because all we do next turn is swing straight in for over 21 points of commander damage. And luckily, like I said, went for that Wasteland play to keep our opponent off blue, which forced them to tutor for a Cultivate. And I imagine they would rather have gone for removal with that, so turns out it was the right play, even if it was a little bit spiky for my liking. Hope you all enjoyed this Feather the Redeemed game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.